Greetings from Kardec Radio, where we are bringing listeners another audiobook. This one entitled, Who is Afraid of Death?, written by Richard Simonetti. This 12th installment covers Chapter 22 entitled, For His Sake, and Chapter 23 entitled, The Garment in the Closet. Enjoy. Chapter 22, For His Sake. Footnote to the title, For His Sake. We give out this message at funerals in Bauru with good receptivity. Due to heterogeneity of belief, we avoid a very clear approach about the difficulties of disconnection. Dear friend, if you cultivate a religious principle, you know death is not the end. The eternal spirit, with its potentialities of love and the feeling that shapes its individuality, simply leaves the jail of flesh, like a butterfly that leaves the cocoon, heading into the horizon. Few, however, are ready for the grand journey. Not many exercise the wings of virtue and unselfishness. Therefore, it is natural for the dead person to face difficulties in trying to adapt to the new spiritual reality, mainly when they cannot count on the support of those who attend the funeral during the long hours that precede the burying. The murmuring of silly talks and less uplifting comments, as well as the instability due to non-acceptance and despair, reflect in his consciousness, imposing painful impressions. If someone is very dear to your heart, consider the fact that he needs your courage and your trust in God. If you do not accept the separation, questioning God's wishes, your despair affects him unmercifully like a devastating storm of anguish. If it is the friend that you admire so much, for whom you nourish special feelings, pay him a silent homage, respecting the solemn transition which is defining new paths for him. If your presence is inspired due to an obligation of sympathy, offer him, in the quietness of your heart, a charitable prayer, simple and spontaneous, to cheer him up. Remember that one day you will also be in the same situation, lying in a coffin, and, still attached to earthly impressions, you will be eager for people to respect your memory and not to disrupt your disconnection, supporting you with valuable silence and prayers, serenity and understanding, so that you can safely cross the threshold of eternal life. Chapter 23. The Garment in the Closet, the most thrilling scenes from a horror movie, those that give us the goosebumps, usually show coffins and corpses. This is the result of filmmakers who exploit the morbid and atavistic fear of death to satisfy those that nurture a strange pleasure in being scared. But as they start to understand that the coffin is merely a wooden box lined with cloth and that the corpse is nothing more than a flesh garment of someone who, after an earthly period, went back to their home world, the spiritual world, they will go forward choosing other themes. It would be ridiculous to feel goosebumps when you saw the contents of a closet, or, inside it, the garment of an absent family member. Nevertheless, that is exactly what happens to many people in relation to death. We know people who systematically refuse to attend funerals, being averse to coffins and corpses, even of family members, dominated by an indescribable fear. They probably carry traumas related to tragic occurrences in previous lives. For a vast majority, however, the problem stems from an inadequate way of facing the great transition, especially due to the information received during the childhood years. I remember that in my young years, many times I was asked to kiss dead family members, which I did with lots of embarrassment, not relishing the contact of my lips with that cold, pale, and rigid face of someone whom I had known full of life, with whom I had lived, and who now was inert, solemn, and somber. And I let myself be influenced by the desperate tears and painful moaning of those less controlled, building in my head the idea that death is something terrible and frightening, a disgusting image that only in my adult life I was able to get rid of through the Spiritist knowledge. Extreme care must be dedicated to children, making them familiar with the idea that we are eternal spiritual beings, wearing a fleshy garment that one day we will have to abandon, just like we abandon a worn-out garment after some time of use. That is the way the corpse has to be shown to children when they want to see it, explaining, through simple images, suitable for their understanding, that grandpa, auntie, daddy, or any other disincarnated family member is now living in another place where he or she will have a new and much better garment. Equally important is the example of serenity and self-control from the adults, offering to the little ones a more suitable image of death, showing it as a temporary separation from someone who has not died but only left.